Hello everyone and welcome back to Smart Spiritual Solutions. In this channel, we use the Bible to solve everyday problems and improve our overall lifestyle. Today, we're going to talk about drug abuse as it is a very big problem among many who are currently growing up. And the reason why many people take drugs nowadays is usually so they can escape their problems such as depression, loss of a very important thing or person, financial hardships, academic struggles, or many other things. And they usually use drugs to briefly forget or escape these problems. However, obviously, these drugs don't actually solve these problems, but only make us briefly forget about them. And the more we take the drug, the weaker and weaker the effects get. But what I want to discuss in this video is, to those who might consider taking drugs as a sort of solution to their problem, I'm just going to talk about the implications that drugs have and what this will actually mean for our lives and our relationship with God. So first, one thing I think we should think about before abusing drugs is that Satan might actually be the one behind it, because he definitely wants us to take drugs. Now, why is this? Well, this is because when we take drugs, God has no business with controlling us, because it is now the drugs that are controlling us, which Satan prefers because he wants God to control us less. Obviously, we as Christians want God to control us and not substances, so I think this by itself would be the biggest reason why drugs are not good. However, one thing that I think we should understand is that drugs by themselves are not bad. In this case, I'm specifically talking about medical drugs or things like this. But St. Paul even told Timothy in 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 23 to take a little wine, which contains alcohol, and consuming a lot of it can lead to some bad effects. But he told him this to help with his impurity, showing that it is not the wine or the medicine itself that is bad, but when we overdose it and abuse it, then it becomes bad. And Paul himself said this in Ephesians chapter 5 verse 18, where he said, "Do not get drunk on wine, which leads to debauchery. Instead, be filled with the Spirit." So if there is something we should be drunk with, it's not wine or drugs, but it's the Holy Spirit. However, many of the dangerous drugs that are produced today are pretty much impossible to take in moderation and have very small medical benefits, so it is better that we just avoid them entirely. However, I just want to broaden this video to maybe help some of those who are not just addicted to drugs, but also are addicted to things besides drugs, because it is not just drugs that are bad if you take them too much. But the Bible said that too much of anything is bad. This includes good things too. As King Solomon said in Proverbs chapter 25 verse 16, even too much honey is bad despite it tasting good and being enjoyable to eat. So things like woman, food, excessive vehicles, objects, or other things like these should not be abused, and those who abuse these things have no right to feel that they are better than a drug abuser, because they actually have the same problem. However, if we find ourselves in this situation where we constantly want more and more and more of these things, we will never actually be satisfied. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verse 10 reads, "He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity." We will end up just getting drowned in our desires and ruin our lives. "For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags." And Jesus Christ also said something similar to this in Luke chapter 21 verses 34 to 36, that we shouldn't be distracted by all of our lusts of this world so that the day of judgment doesn't come upon us unawares. He said in verse 34, "And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares." There are also some examples of people in the Bible who let their lusts control them, like Esau. And St. Paul said in Hebrews chapter 12 verse 16 that he loved food so much that he sold his birthright for one morsel of meat. Even King Solomon too, he loved women so much that he got to 1,000 relationships at the same time. Now, it's not the woman itself that is bad, but what the bad part is what happened as a result, because the woman ended up controlling him and he got turned away from God and started worshiping their gods. So the same effect that drugs have on people today is the same effects that woman had on Solomon and food had on Esau. So I think my advice is, if we find ourselves with any addiction, or if we are thinking of doing something that could get addictive, we should always know that getting into these things like drugs, which is the topic of this video, will never be the solution to our problems. But instead, if we want to succeed in the race of salvation, we need the kind of discipline that St. Paul showed in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 24 to 27. And taking drugs probably isn't a part of that discipline. But anyway, I think I can stop here on discussing why drug abuse is bad, and also talking about other addictions too, and what that means for our service to God. If you have enjoyed this video, I'll greatly appreciate if you hit that like button and also the subscribe button, and to click the notification bell so you will know when you have another video. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.